Psalm 1 opens with a rousing first line, "Blessed is the name who." But what kind of person does the psalmist believe will find this great surplus of blessings? The next few lines tell us, the person who says no to those wicked, sinners, and scoffers, and instead says yes to God's Torah. Then what exactly is Torah? Although the word Torah is most commonly used today to refer to the first 5 books of the Bible, that is the Pentateuch, at its most basic level, Torah means instruction. The word Torah has many companion terms in the Psalms. This concept refers to God's will for human life, divinely revealed and historically implemented in the history of Israel and humankind. In the Torah Psalms, God's law takes different forms. They are God's ways, paths, deeds, works, words, truth, decrees, statutes, precepts, testimony, commandments, covenant, etc. Before discussing about the place of Torah Psalms in the Psalter, let's define Torah Psalms first. Torah Psalms are the Psalms which focus on the multiple facets of the Torah. Only 3 Psalms, that is number 1, number 19, number 119, make Torah their primary focus. Another 16 Psalms focus on Torah enough to be categorized as Torah Psalms. Torah Psalms do not comprise a standard literary pattern. However, they form a legitimate category on the basis of their content. These Psalms provide the skeletal structure that supports the body of the Psalter. They give a solid interpretive framework for its personal moral wisdom and national identity. James Mays claims that Torah Psalms play an important role in shaping the structure of the Psalter in his paper, The Place of the Torah Psalms in the Psalter. The pairing of Psalm 1 and 2, Psalm 18 and 19, and Psalm 118 and 119 are a deliberate editorial design. Psalms 1, 19, and 119 are the typical Torah Psalms, whereas Psalms 2, 18, and 118 place the eschatological settings to the Torah Psalms adjacent to them. Now let's take a look at the first pair, that is Psalms 1 and 2. The Psalter opens with a pronouncement of blessedness on those who meditate constantly upon the Torah. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the ways of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. For the psalmist in Psalm 1, delighting and meditating on God's Torah is what paves the way for both blessings and success. Psalm 1 most likely functions as an introduction to the whole Psalter, giving an imprint of Torah to the entire book and labeling the kind of piety this collection cultivates in the soul. Psalms 1 and 2 form a pair of psalms and stand in mutual relationship. Psalm 2 puts Psalm 1 in an eschatological setting, anticipating the day when the Torah and its power to change lives will bring a new era of the Lord's sovereign reign through his Messiah. And what about the second pair, Psalms 18 and 19? Both Psalms depict the divine theophany. Psalm 18 verses 2 to 19 highlights God's manifestation in the Exodus and at Sinai, which brings salvation to Israel. Psalm 19 celebrates God's Torah. Psalm 19 verses 1 to 6 underscore the natural order, which results in the salvation of the individual through the power of Torah. Like Psalm 2, Psalm 18 sets Israel's national troubles and her national salvation in the arena of world history. Although the I in Psalm 18 refers to David, when read in the context of national experience, this personal pronoun represents the whole Israelite community. David's deliverance from Saul anticipates the eschatological salvation of the nation. Psalm 18 puts Psalm 19 in the context of eschatological salvation through the power of Torah. And in the third pair, Psalms 118 and 119. Far from being a burden, Psalm 119 considers God's laws to be a delight, a treasure more valuable than riches, and a safe path that guards against stumbling. Psalm 118 celebrates the deliverance of a righteous one who has been rejected, while Psalm 119 is a prayer for salvation of those who have been rejected because of their devotion to Torah. Just as the relationship between Psalm 18 and 19, the eschatological context of Psalm 118 puts Psalm 119 in a larger arena of the kingdom of God. The three pairs of Psalms analyzed above demonstrate the place of the Torah Psalms in the Psalter. James may suggest that this contextualization is intentional. In all three cases, the purpose of the pairing seems to be the provision of an eschatological context of the Torah piety based in Torah. The reason is the eschatological context of the Torah piety, that is, the hope for the coming kingdom of God.